Prepare yourself for Earthling Entertainment, the perfect blend of paranormal and pop culture, with your host, Joe Wakefield and Ryan Lang.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Earthling Entertainment with Joe Wakefield and Ryan Lang.
Hey, I'm the host that just dug himself out of his own grave, Joe Wakefield.
And I'm Ryan Lang.
That's right. So, hey guys, what is Earthling Entertainment? You may ask, right? What is it? What kind of podcast am I getting myself into? Well, I'll tell you. What we do here is a little bit of the spooky, a little bit of the creepy. Occasionally it's cryptozoology or ghosts or some other mystery or legend, but it's always spooky.
You're my kid.
That, of course, is followed by a segment called Disclosure Discussion. It's all about aliens.
I'm just asking questions. UFO stories, videos, photos, stuff like that, abductions. That's what we're going to talk about.
That's right. And then the second part of the show, the latter half, if you will, is dedicated to pop culture and entertainment. Whether it be music, video games, movies, TV, we do stories, we cover celebrity deaths. Occasionally we have trivia games and interviews, but it's all pop culture and entertainment all the time. And those two things together, the beginning of the show being spooky, the second part being all fun and pop culture-y, together make the delicious moon pie of a podcast known as Earthling Entertainment. Welcome.
Thanks for listening.
That's right. And if you like the show, if you like what you hear today, do us a favor and hit that download button. Downloading the episodes is a great way to support us. Also, you can get a sticker. It's a pretty good bumper sticker kind of size. It's good outside. It says Earthling Entertainment, got our logo. And all you got to do is email us with the address you want the sticker mailed to at earthlingentertainmentpodcast@gmail.com.
That's what's up.
All right, cool. We got all that done. And that's like, checklist.
Yes.
Explained what we do, plugged the stickers. All right, we're nailing it, man.
That's right.
And I'm glad.
We want to see it all over the place.
I'm glad because, Ryan here, he pretty much just flew in. He spent the last 5 days in New York. How was that?
It was sweet. Yeah, no, we got there Friday. And just got back yesterday. Last night, we were traveling all day. We did, I did the full experience. I rode the subway. I took the train.
The New York checklist. If all the So did you get Central Park? Did you get that one?
Did not do Central Park because
Okay.
it's so big.
Yeah, I know.
So we were just we kind of were more about
The city aspect.
yeah, seeing places there, and it was a lot of fun. And really,
I know you went to the library where they did the Ghostbusters. Both the original and the new one, Frozen Empire, featured a scene in that library.
yeah, I walked by and I just looked over and I'm like, huh, I know those stairs. Oh, I know that lion. I'm like,
I'll be damned.
it was kind of cool. It's so funny that was my New York City moment was, oh look, the library from Ghostbusters. But
Well,
it
it's
was.
Halloween, man.
You're
It's
right.
not Halloween. It's October. It's the Halloween season. And I can't get enough of the season personally. So that's exactly what I would latch onto too.
And it was just New York was just everything you see in every movie. It's so true. It was crazy. I felt like I was at Disney World. There were so many people on the sidewalks.
There's an animatronic man being like, I'm pooping on the street. Hello.
They might as well. They might as well have. In certain places, most of it was absolutely gorgeous. And went to Ground Zero. That was heavy.
Obviously.
So went to that. Had to go there. Missed the Statue of Liberty. Didn't even see her. Whoops.
I mean, I know New York is huge, so
Yeah, so
apparently you didn't have that much time to look around because you were there for a wedding, right?
yeah, we were there for a wedding, and it was that was a bit of a train ride out too. So the wedding was far away; it was way out of town.
Sure,
So-
but you had to check out the city.
oh yeah, it was sweet. And we stayed in a hotel right there in the city. It was a fun time. It was a fun time. And
Excellent.
The
Perfect.
pizza and the pizza.
Well, I found the pizza. Yeah. Well, did you have some New York pizza?
Fuck yeah! Had 4 different places. We tried as many as we could.
Well, in
It's
honor
awesome.
of the Ninja Turtles, I appreciate you doing that, sir. Did
Yes,
you
sir.
fold it in half like the New Yorkers
I
in
was-
the opening of that second Ninja Turtle movie?
Yep, I was taught how because the slices are enormous.
Yeah, and
so
flat.
you really have no choice. You have to fold.
Excellent. Well, my weekend went well too. I finally got to go to that concert, the German band Fawn, where they do medieval folk. It was great.
Sweet.
Wife and I loved it. She paid for the upgrade, where it was like an extra $25 a piece, and we got to like sit down near a bar with a private bathroom and all that stuff. It was a lot of fun. There's not a huge fan base in Detroit, I take it, because it was full, but it was by no means packed. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You didn't feel like it was empty at all. Like, it was full, but sometimes where you're just like pressed up against the bar because there's no room to walk. It was at the Majestic Theater in Detroit.
Okay. No, I've been to the Majestic. I like it there. I know where you're at. That's cool.
Yeah.
No. I've seen a lot of bands there, but no, that's great. So Fawn.
Fawn.
When
Yes.
did you hear of them?
Honestly, because we do the social media thing, there's a lot of medieval kind of like cosplayers in other parts of the world, and I think it was like a Scandinavian or a Finnish person, and they do the whole armor and things like that. Well, they had a song attached to it, and it was Fawn, and I'm like, oh, this is great. And it happened like 3 or 4 times before I actually like looked up the band because I was just like, oh, it's that band again.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I guess Instagram to be,
No,
Well,
that's awesome though. Like, yeah, that you can organically like get into like something new that way. That's cool.
well, it was easy when you were a kid, right? You went to high school and everybody had their own cliques and their own type of musics, and you always had the exposure to everything. But as an adult, especially an adult who, I'm a writer, so all my work is at home. I don't get out much. You got to. You got to expand your own horizons.
No, yeah, and how I usually do it is I'll bust out my Spotify and I will literally just type in rock, and then the genre like rock will come up, right?
Sure.
So you click that, and then it's all new releases. But the thing is, you miss out on that. You could also Wikipedia that shit. I would do that for like this year in heavy metal, and they literally will put every release by every band, like for the most part. That if you wanted to get into something new, you could definitely find it on there. So
No, I absolutely get it because that's what I do with movies. Like I
yeah,
used to look up just movie trailers in the early days of the internet. I shouldn't even say that. In the early 2000s, my early days of the internet. I guess it would still be early in the grand scheme of things, but I don't want to misrepresent. I wasn't like an 80s baby.
no,
Well, no, I was an 80s baby. I was an 80s kid. The point is, Apple used to have a site said upcomingmovies.com, and they always had like the trailers and everything new, and I just love doing that. And it occurred to me that YouTube now, with all the top 10 video games or the upcoming movies or any of this stuff, they had shows like that when we were younger that were just on TV. They were like morning shows where just like, here are the new movies coming out with Chuck Siegel. And he's like, hey, I'm Chuck Siegel, and What I Can't Do Without is a nice family film. Here's Ants. They show the trailer and then they talk about
yeah.
it for 5 minutes, and then there's another one.
I do. I
Now
think
that's the internet.
Yeah. Now everybody can just do it for free on their phone. Like it's amazing. Like I don't know. It's just such a funny time. Like yeah, like anybody can, and you can go viral like doing these news reports and stuff. And because how many times do I look up like a review and stuff, and it's just some guy.
Well, you know what? I just think it was a weird observation that occurred to me that like the things I used to watch when I was younger still exist in a different form. And I just hope that continues, right? It's like a fan of a very old property. It's nice that they keep rebooting it every so often so I could continue to enjoy. But hey, why don't we jump into our first topic today? So, guys, spooky stuff is what we're doing now, and we decided to cover because it's the Halloween season a couple more ghost stories. These are some cool ones that we haven't covered before, so please enjoy this week's spooky stuff.
7 Halloween ghost stories. Number 1. The Black Monk of Pontefract in England. In August 1966, Jean and Joe Pritchard moved into 30 East Drive in Pontefract, West Yorkshire, with their 2 children, Philip, age 15, and Diane, age 12. Upon moving into the home, the family began experiencing poltergeist-like activity that seemed to focus its energy on Philip. The poltergeist activity included objects flying through the air, green foam coming from the faucets, and pictures on the wall being cut with a knife.
Well, that is just creepy as hell. And I always liked the whole idea of poltergeist being like they attach to a place or person. And I've heard lately that like someone corrected me and they're like, no, it's attached to a person as a poltergeist. And I'm like, oh, all right. How unlucky. How do you get a ghost attached to you?
Uh,
I mean,
I don't
because
know.
they moved to this place, right? So did the ghost already there? And he was just like, that kid. I want to fuck with that kid.
It could just
You
be
know,
like,
Philip looks like a kid who'd be fun to mess with.
I wonder if it's like a blood type kind of thing where it's like certain people just are more susceptible.
Maybe. Ooh,
Maybe.
that's a good thought.
So the entity eventually became violent with Diane, throwing her to the floor, leaving marks on her neck, and even dragging her up the stairs in front of the entire family.
Oh my god.
The activity at 30th East Drive eventually caught the attention of the newspapers, which referred to the spirit as Mr. Nobody, although the Pritchards usually called the poltergeist Fred.
Well, it could still be Fred, okay? It could be Fred Nobody. I'm just saying.
It could be.
They gave him a last name, you gave him a first name. Where's the problem? It's called organization, people. Call each other on the phone, work it out, make sure it all is straight. Jeez. These people, man, they don't know how to publicize their own story.
His name was Fred Nobody.
Yeah, clearly. We can make a movie, be like The Trouble with Fred Nobody, and just have it be years later because we can't afford to do a period piece, and where this same ghost finds a new home.
Yes.
And it's it's like a Pixar sympathetic tale. And then the last 5 minutes, we make a harsh left turn and decapitate everyone.
Good.
Just like the opening of Ghost Ship. We do a reverse Ghost Ship. We end it with that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Credits. Attempts at an exorcism, Joe, were unsuccessful, and Fred would slap those trying to pray. Just stop it.
Oh my God. For some reason, that is really funny. It's like,
Just going around
dear God, will you
slapping
please
everybody.
Shut up!
Shut up.
Stop that! Birds.
Research indicates that the site of 30 East Drive was where a monk was hanged in the 16th century, which is thought to explain the poltergeist activity. And what led and the slapping, what led to the entity
That
becoming
shit got
known
me killed.
as the Black
Stop it.
Monk of the Black Monk of Pontefract.
Oh my God.
Pontefract.
It's just pissed off monk
Dude.
who's just like smacking people, praying. That got me killed, you idiot.
Heresy.
Stop it.
A photo taken by a ghost hunter in 2016 showed a face shrouded by a black hood in a mirror facing the staircase where Diane Pritchard had been dragged nearly 50 years earlier. The story was covered in a 1981 book, Poltergeist, a study in destructive haunting by Colin Wilson, and in the 2012 horror film, When the Lights Went Out. The film's producer subsequently purchased the Pritchard's old home and now rents it out to amateur ghost hunters, although
Might as well make the money.
Ouija boards are not allowed inside.
What a strange detail. Like, what would it matter if you're trying to contact ghosts? I mean, there's more, I don't know, ways to do it besides using a Ouija board. Why would that in particular be an issue?
And it's all
They're
good.
like, all right, you could bring in your vials of blood and your candles and the bones and that skull. But you know what? Do not bring in that Mattel board game. You son of a
Right.
bitch.
Yeah, do not bring in that game. We don't want demons.
No.
Or do you?
I don't know. You know what? The next one, though. The next one creeps me out more than anything. And I'm sure you've actually heard of this, Ryan. So check it out.
Kuchisaki Anna in Japan. The legend of Kuchisaki Anna dates back to anywhere from the 17th to 19th centuries during Japan's Edo period. Kuchisaki Anna is thought to have been a beautiful woman who was mutated by having her face sliced open from ear to ear. Some versions of the story say a jealous lover disfigured her, while others claim the culprit was another woman envious of Kuchisaki Anna's beauty. Considered An Anryo, or a vengeful spirit, Kuchisakiana will appear to people hiding her disfigured face behind a fan or, in modern times, a surgical mask. She will ask the individual if she is beautiful. If they say yes, she will uncover her face and ask if the individual still thinks she's pretty. If the person says no or tries to run away, Kuchisakiana will kill them. If they say yes, she will use scissors or a knife to cut up their face to match hers. The legend
Rough.
alternatively claims Kuchisakiana will follow the person home and murder them.
I figured you don't want to be disfigured. Murdered, obviously worse, but like, geez, that would just be insult to injury. I mean, just following them back and murdering them, sure, but don't disfigure them. Have them go home. Have them deal with the realities of their new existence, and then kill them.
It's a real lose-lose situation.
Yeah.
You know? Like, Kuchisakiana is pretty serious. Pretty serious. So it says here.
She's got a point.
Yeah.
Stabbing
Yeah.
it through your cheek. All right, continue.
Yeah. The story of Kuchisakiana gripped Japan again in 1979 when sightings of her were reported in the newspaper. The public took the story so seriously, adults would walk children home from school in large groups to prevent Kuchisakiana from taking them. If confronted by Kuchisakiana, it's advised that an individual can escape by telling her she looks average or throwing either money or hard candy at her to confuse her.
All right, so that is my favorite. That feels like either a cultural thing or like an old-timey thing. Why would hard candy confuse her? Like, she's like, I'm gonna kill. Oh shit, Jolly Rancher! What the? What was I doing?
What if you were like trying to get her to the hospital? Like, what if you had like a general reaction? Like, oh my god,
Like,
let's get you to the hospital. Like, she would be probably really confused, right?
Well, the big reaction would get you killed. Like they said, if you scream, that would get you killed. So you have to be calm. You'd be like, "Oh, honey, you look totally average. Just by happenstance, would you like to escort me to the hospital?"
Right. Like, so you had just be calm. Just be like, oh my goodness, like here, come with me. Let's get you to the hospital.
I don't think you could draw attention to it. I think you have to just be like, "What? You look fine. You look normal. What's the problem?"
Yeah.
I see nothing.
Yeah.
You have to be colorblind, except ugly blind. You know.
Yeah. I guess so, right?
Yeah.
Just got to be like, eh.
Be like, well, it's jarring, right? Like anytime someone has any kind of thing that makes them stand out physically, your eye is drawn to it simply because we are just programmed to do that. Like we focus on symmetry, and we notice when things are not symmetric. I guess. I'm trying to be really nice, but the point is, if you got a cut up face, people are gonna notice.
Yeah. It's gonna stand out.
Yeah.
It's gonna stand out. So that brings us to Ireland.
Yes, I like Ireland. Just in general. Way to go, Ireland. Keep it up.
The coast of Ballygally. I don't know if I'm saying that wrong, but I'm going to say it that way because I like it. Ballygally Castle Hotel sits on the eastern coast of Northern Ireland, constructed in 1625 by John Shaw of Greenock.
I really wanted it to be Jon Snow.
Yeah. No, John Shaw of Greenock. The castle survived multiple sieges during the 1641 uprising thanks to its 5-foot thick walls.
That'll do it.
The castle stayed in the Shaw family for centuries before changing hands several times and eventually becoming a hotel. Locals believe that Ballygally's resident ghost is nearly as old as the castle itself. According to lore, Lady Isabel Shaw gave birth to a daughter, much to the dismay of her husband, Lord James Shaw, who wanted a son. Lord James allegedly...
I love how we always blame women for that, but like genetically, it's actually us.
Totally on the dude.
Yeah.
That is, I had a nurse
A lot of people were killed for that.
I had a nurse tell me that's like how it works, but when we were doing the gender reveal and stuff, and it was like, oh, shoot. Like, yeah, a
lot of kings killed a lot of queens over that.
And it was all their fault. That's what you're shooting, bud.
Yeah, sorry.
So Lord James allegedly had Lady Isabel locked in a tower where she was driven mad by the sounds of her crying daughter.
Oh my God.
Lady Isabel either jumped from the tower to her death or was pushed through a tower window by Lord James himself.
Okay, I can't even joke. That was horrible.
Since then, residents and guests have reported seeing Lady Isabel's restless spirit. One family even reported that upon entering the tower, their baby began crying
Oh.
and screaming uncontrollably as if terrified by an unseen entity.
It's like that movie Mama.
Yeah. In addition to Lady Isabel's ghost, the rustling skirts of a 19th century woman named Madame Nixon can be heard in the stairwells of the castle. Others have reported a green mist that seems to hang over the Ballygally Castle for no apparent reason.
Man, there's a lot of weird green thing, right? Like there's the green mist, and then the last one they had green foam coming out of the pipes.
Yeah.
That feels very Ghostbusters.
It feels Ghostbusters, but it also feels like maybe just bad plumbing.
Are you in Flint, Michigan? That's not a poltergeist. You're just gonna die from horrible toxins.
I mean, it's
and
just like the
hard
copper,
metals.
because when copper gets all like funky and shit, maybe it's just like the old copper pipes or something, just
Okay,
getting all
yeah.
green and fuzzy.
Okay, sure.
That could-
Hypothetically, that could explain the last one. But what about this green mist?
The green mist.
Yeah, give me some green mist knowledge.
This was in. Let's see. This is in Ireland. Beer farts.
Beer farts. All right, I thought you were going to say something with a leprechaun. So well done. Well done. Way not to take the low-hanging fruit. Good job.
So
Number 4.
Number 4. The brown lady of. The brown lady of. Why am I such a child that's funny to me? The brown lady of
what? Is what
Rainham
funny?
Hall in England.
Wait, what was funny?
The brown lady.
Oh my
I don't
God.
know what. I'm a child, so just brown is just like, poo.
Dude. Oh, that is hilarious. I was laughing because we did the Chopper 4 thing again.
Yes, we always have to do chopper 4.
Oh, we went 2 different routes on that one, Rod.
I did. I took them both. I took a chopper there.
Just start saying over again.
The brown lady of Rainham Hall in England. In Norfolk, England, sits an 18th century manor house where some say a ghost was caught on film. The brown lady of Rainham Hall has haunted the manor since at least 1835, when she was first sighted. Many believe she is Dorothy Walpole, the wife of Charles Townshend, whose family owned Rainham Hall. Dorothy and Charles married in 1713, but in 1725, Charles allegedly locked Dorothy in the hall and claimed she died following rumors she was having an affair. Dorothy Walpole walked the corridors until she died from smallpox a year later.
Damn.
Then,
Just be locked away simply. Yeah.
just in a hall,
Well, just locked away in your house. Because think about it. Way back then, like the husband says, oh, she died. And no one's going to question it because you're a rich person and not to be a dick, but the rights issue, obviously. So just lock your wife away. It's like when it was like, she's disagreeing with me. Send her to the crazy house to get lobotomized.
like, my goodness,
Like-
sir. Like, have a sit down and a cigar.
What,
Like, get this man a drink.
what happened? Why did you lobotomize her? It's like,
like,
well,
I
she
got-
burned my shirt with the iron. It's like,
my
whoa.
God, she's a mad woman.
Yeah, she didn't laugh at my joke.
Like, my goodness. Throw her away.
Holy shit. All right. Well, I mean, maybe she did have an affair. Still overreaction, I'd say. But, smallpox being how you go doesn't sound fun because that just kind of like, how do you get smallpox if you're quarantined away from everyone, though?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know.
I
That
don't
doesn't
know.
make any sense. You figured it would just be like the starvation, but it's like, no.
Or maybe he was a real jerk and he was also like putting like diseased blankets in there. Like, just like, I went to the leper colony and
Oh my
grabbed a
God.
couple pillow covers. Here, honey.
Oh, my God.
I'm just saying, it's happening throughout history.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is my pretend idea of how this woman contracted smallpox worse than what this guy actually did?
It's not worse.
Oh, okay.
It's
good.
just another oh my god.
Okay. Oh, good. I was worried. Continue.
Yes. So then, during a Christmas party in 1835, 2 guests first spotted the brown lady. The guests said she was fully formed, but her eye sockets were empty. A year later, another guest shot at the brown lady, but the bullet went straight through her and lodged in the door. In 1926, a member of the Townshend family finally identified the brown lady as Dorothy Walpole, based on the experience seeing the ghost, as well as a portrait of Dorothy that hung in Raynham Hall. The famous photograph of the brown lady was taken in September 1936 during a photo shoot for the magazine Country Life. The photographer's assistant,
Sorry, that just seems like such a magazine I wouldn't want anything to do with. Continue.
yes, Country Life. The photographer's assistant actually saw the apparition, and the photographer managed to capture the image. Paranormal investigators such as Harry Price examined the negative and didn't believe it had been tampered with, but skeptics claim the photo is merely a double exposure.
Well, I mean,
There's
they
always
can
going to be
tell.
skeptics.
Well, they can tell how that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they just said people examined it.
Yeah, it didn't seem to be tampered with.
I mean, I guess
double exposure is a different thing.
I guess you're right.
But I don't know. That's cool.
I mean, to be fair, right? Like, if anyone took a picture of a ghost and actually had a picture of a ghost, yeah, getting people to believe it is. That's why it's really tough. Like, if it's your goal to be like, I'm going to be the one to discover Bigfoot or Loch Ness Monster, it'd be like, damn, man, you better have some DNA evidence because even that people will argue. They'll be like, I don't believe in DNA. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. There's always going to be someone saying it's not true.
Right. Flat earthers exist.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I disagree with, but the fun idea of flat Earth is the being surrounded by an ice wall. I kind of like that because it just feels like a very Norse mythology belief.
It does.
It's like we are surrounded by the giant snake.
Yes.
Yes. So, all right. Next, number 5.
The White Woman of Belchen Tunnel in Switzerland.
Oof. These are sounding kind of racist now. We have the brown woman, now we have the white woman. Can't they just be ghosts? What the hell, guys?
I know, they're running out of ideas. Built in the 1960s.
We're going to run out of colors. Be like, the green woman. Does she garden? Nope.
She went to plaid. Built in the 1960s, Belchen Tunnel is a 10,430-foot long tunnel in Switzerland that connects Eppingen in Basel country, forgive me if I'm saying these wrong, and Hagendorf in Solothurn. The haunting there is one of the more modern ones we will be talking about. It was the first reported in a newspaper in January of 1981. The newspaper article claimed that an elderly woman wearing white would appear on the shoulder of the highway and flag down drivers for a ride. The drivers would pick up the woman, only for her to vanish from their car as they drove through the tunnel. Creepy. Sightings of the White Woman of Belchen Tunnel continued through the 80s, including one story of two female law students who reported picking her up in 1983. The white woman apparently said something terrible was going to happen before disappearing from the backseat of the car about halfway through the tunnel. These stories have led to the Belchen Tunnel being known as one of the most haunted roads in the world.
Okay. All right. So, obviously creepy if you pick up a hitchhiker, drive through a tunnel, disappears halfway through. But I just thought, like, in like a scary movie, like a parody movie version of this, it would be like some woman, right, who would be hitchhike, and then halfway through the tunnel, she'd disappear, and they would turn, and there'd be a jump scare, and they'd all be like, "Oh my god!" But then the camera would pan left, and the door would be open, and you'd see this woman just rolling in traffic behind the car, and that's exactly what popped in my head when they said that she just disappeared. So I couldn't help but giggle.
I mean, it's just a thing that she does with her spare time. She just like I'm just gonna scare people today.
She's like, I'm bored. My husband died 10 years ago, so I fuck with drivers.
Yes. I wonder what the terrible thing that she
was
said.
a stunt driver before she retired, you know,
like just before she disappears, she's just like, "You are going to crap your pants."
she's like, got one of those ghost pellets, right? She's like, ninja vanish. The door's flapping in the wind. And you just hear honks and swerving as she's rolling through traffic. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sure it's a ghost.
Yeah. Well, that is funny, but we're gonna go off the notion that no, the doors weren't open, nothing was fucked with, she just disappeared. And honestly, I have to say though, that is Joe can't stop seeing a woman in white just rolling down the freeway in a tunnel.
Number 6.
Number 6. Let's go to Germany. The Bingen poltergeist in Germany. One of the oldest tales of poltergeist activity came from Germany in the town of Bingen during the 9th century, about 858 CE to be exact. The story first appeared in a historical book called the Annales Valdenses, which claimed that a farmer thought his children or children in the village were pulling pranks on him until the activity in his house and on the farm took a sinister turn. The farmer reported that the supposed prank started out as knocking on the walls at all hours of the day and night. Before long, rocks began raining down on his house, crops burned, and animals died for seemingly no reason. The farmers sought out a group of Carolingian monks for aid, and although they performed an exorcism, it didn't seem to vanquish the poltergeist, which the farmer believed was a demon sent to torment him. The public later learned the farmer had been molesting his children, along with other children in the village. Some speculate that someone could have put the evil eye on the farmer, or that one of his children was going through puberty, which is sometimes said to trigger poltergeist activity. In other versions of the story, the man merely becomes an outcast because of the bad luck that follows him. Or maybe all the molesting. Damn.
Yeah, all right. So don't molest kids, just in general. Just don't. So I kind of like the idea that there was some kind of curse put on him, because I could see that, right? Like there's a local witch warlock and they're just like, yeah, that guy, that creep. Oh, yeah. We're going to put some demons on him. Right. It's enough said. Well done, I guess. But I got nothing. There's
probably
no
like vengeful parents too. Like
why
it could
not?
Just be
right?
that. Yeah, it could totally be that. If you figured that out. Oh hell yeah.
If there was ever a reason not to be that kind of creepy, poltergeist.
Right.
And also the poltergeist being attracted to puberty. I've heard that before too. Like just the angst and just like the outburst of emotion, kind of like in X-Men where it was like puberty triggered the mutation. So I don't. Yeah. And there's been a few things like that where like just, for lack of a better word, the crazy shit that goes on energy wise in your head and likewise can bring things out.
I can see that. That kind of like goes with my thought earlier where like, maybe that opens things up. Like it's a different stage of your life.
Yeah, there you go. Number 7.
The Tulip Staircase Ghost in England.
Mm-hmm.
The Queen's House in Greenwich, England was built in the early 1600s as a residence for the royal family. Over 300 years later, on June 19th, 1966, Reverend Hardy and his wife lodged at the Queen's House during a visit to London. The Hardys took numerous photos of the home's interior, including its large spiral staircase, formerly referred to as the Tulip Staircase. Nothing about the Hardys' stay seemed unusual, but when they developed the photos from the Queen's house, they were shocked by what they saw. Floating on the staircase was a shadow figure, and possibly 1 or 2 additional shadow figures higher up on the staircase. The photo instantly sparked an interest in the Queen's house and the possibility that it was haunted by multiple spirits. On June 24th, 1967, just over a year after Reverend and Mrs. Hardy took their famous photograph, a group known as the Ghost Club conducted an overnight investigation of the Queen's house. The team thoroughly inspected the house and even held a seance, but no one in the Ghost Club witnessed paranormal activity. The only other notable paranormal sighting at the Queen's house occurred in 2002 when a staff member saw a woman in gray floating across one of the home's balconies.
Ooh. Well, anyone who is a fan of the BBC's Doctor Who knows that that is just Cybermen that are trying to, come to our dimension, clearly.
You don't say. I definitely don't watch Doctor Who.
I know that. But all jokes aside, creepy shadow figures are that is something that blows my mind. But if there's never been like really any other reports of that, they're either keeping it real hush or maybe it was just a weird instance, I don't know. Like maybe it was visitors from another dimension just phasing in out there. Maybe it was just rumor. I don't know. But I have an issue with anything that happens like once, because then it's just like, well,
Yeah, it could
like
have been
there's
like
this
a
one
smudge
demon
on
in
the camera.
well, there's this one demon in Japan we talked about very briefly on the I forgot to hit record episode, where the demon basically bent over and its butthole was an eyeball,
Yes.
but it was only seen by like one samurai or like one dude
Right.
throughout the whole history of its existence.
Yep, that was it.
And it's just like, well, should we take this guy's word for it? I don't know.
I say yes. I say yes.
All right. So the Queen's home is haunted and Butt Eye is real.
Yep. He is.
I'll look up the
Beware.
I'll look up the actual name. But yeah, so that's to kick off the spooky season because it's October and the next 3 episodes are going to be more and more Halloween themed up until our last episode of the month, which is going to be the 28th. And that is going to be like the grand finale special episode. We have a game where we're going to have a trivia game about, all Halloween movies. We have a wonderful interview with one of the stars from Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers.
Hell yeah.
Kathleen Kimmont. That we have an interview on that episode. And we also have our first Tattered Tales audio drama.
Hell yeah. I got to have a lead role in this one.
Absolutely. So we got like a 15-minute audio drama on top of everything else. And so we have a stacked episode. This whole Halloween season is going to be fantastic, but we're definitely going to be leaning more towards the supernatural spooky this month. And that was the first segment. Spooky stuff.
Spooky stuff.
And now, what do you think? You want to jump into our extraterrestrial?
Dude, let's get in the UFO, bro.
Disclosure discussion. Ha 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 ha. It's about aliens and stuff.
The UFO abductions of Audrey and Debbie Hewins from their childhood home. This comes to us from allthat'sinteresting.com. Audrey and Debbie Hewins not only claim that aliens exist, but that alien abductions do too, and that they have experienced them. I was probably about 5 years old or so, said Audrey, and a bright blue light would come into the room and the door would open. And there would be like a froggy kind of misty blue light. Sorry, foggy. I don't know why I said froggy.
I don't know, but I like the froggy light.
I don't know why I said. I thought it was going to be like
in
a
my head,
froggy
it jumps
alien.
to like swamp gas.
Like,
I'm like, okay.
Like this fucking alien thing that looks like a frog.
Sure,
I don't know why that's where my mind went. My bad.
Well, no, froggy light does paint a picture, I will say.
So foggy kind of misty blue light.
I wish it was green. It's green for everybody else, but I'm sorry. It's green for ghosts. It's blue for aliens. Sorry guys. Sorry, my bad.
And green for frogs. Just shining through the whole house was this misty blue light, which was foggy. And these two figures would come in. Though Audrey's first alien abduction allegedly occurred during childhood, she claimed these visitations continued well into adulthood. We have been together on abductions, stated Audrey. We have been up in crafts and seen our house from above. So we realize they are not from here. They are very good at mind erasing or whatever you want to call it. They'll leave you with bits and pieces of things you can remember.
Well, then they're not that good at it.
Debbie
I'm
added.
just,
Right.
I'm just saying.
Right.
If they were good at mind erasing, then you wouldn't remember shit.
Right. So it must have been on
They're,
purpose.
they're mediocre.
Maybe it was on purpose.
What if it was an alien Boy Scout troop and they're just like, all right, now abduct your human. Now, remember, if you want the mind erase badge, you have to erase at least 80%.
79, bare minimum.
No badge for you.
Debbie added, I remember one time being on a spaceship and standing there on the spaceship, and the floor and the walls disappeared, and I was just staring at Earth. Though the twins refer to these entities as the bald men, what they've described to people willing to listen closely resembles what ufologists have dubbed alien grays, or simply grays.
I mean, the bald men, I'm good.
That's where I went with you.
Yeah.
Greys are alleged to be a type of extraterrestrial being that is human-like in form, gray-colored, and with an enlarged, hairless head. The twins said they pleaded with their parents not to put them to bed for fear of encountering the bald men, but the adults simply dismissed these alien stories as a ruse to stay up longer, which tracks.
I don't know, dude. If my kid's like, no, for real, if you put me to bed, I'm going to be abducted. I would be concerned. I'd be like, okay, well, you're sleeping with us tonight.
I guess that's fair. All right. So if my kid ever says that, they get to sleep in the bed with me.
I guess you hope that they could articulate what's going on and aren't just like the bald man, because if they're just like screaming the bald men are gonna get me, then you're like, oh, you're probably just having a bad dream.
Yeah, I don't know. Still, yeah. Listen to your kids. You never know.
Well, at least listen to your kids if they're saying they're afraid of being abducted. That feels like something you should tune into.
That is most definitely something to pay attention to. So they started doing all kinds of experiments on us when we were 12, said Audrey. While she was initially hesitant to come forward, Audrey claimed that after a non-human entity saved her from drowning in the ocean, she was inspired to dedicate her life to openly discussing her alien abduction experiences. Neuroscientist Robert Davis, who was one of the first professionals to lend his support to the twins, explained that Audrey and Debbie Hewins' experiences are shared by many thousands, if not millions, worldwide. It's unreasonable to think that they would all be lying or reporting dreams and fantasies, he said. These events are consistently reported and should be taken seriously by everyone, in spite of their uniqueness.
So what do you think?
Sounds like a thing. That's interesting because, yeah, I'm usually, when it comes to abductions, I think I'm usually more skeptical.
Sure.
Because I feel like you're just believing someone's story. There's never any evidence. You just have to listen to what they say and believe them.
Well, yeah, it's tough, right? Because people who commit to a story, it's like, when do you believe and when do you just like think they're lying? Because these two girls, they've spent their lives saying that this happened, like since they were 12. Like no, this happened. So it's like, okay, either they're telling the truth, they've committed to a lie, or they're crazy. And
could be a little bit of a couple of those things. Like I could see a little crazy, and I could see like this is just a game that they do maybe. But
yeah,
at the same time, I don't want to be super skeptical because obviously
it's just hard because I've never experienced an alien abduction. So obviously it's hard for me to wrap my head around. It's like something that you really want to know, but you don't want to have to experience to know. And I don't know. I trust them, but my ears are open for someone who has proof that there is inconsistencies in the story. You know what I mean?
And I mean, at least it was the Greys, because they usually tend to be pretty straightforward. There's never too many like horrifying stories other than it's crazy, But like them, the blonde hair,
Nordics.
Yeah, and like the ones that are like just super tall, but basically just look like kind of like a really tall, skinny human.
Yeah, I think
Those are
those are
okay.
Nordics. Yeah.
Okay. Like if it's not those, you're in trouble. I just imagine like that would be the worst. Like in the a couple reptilians walk in, you know you are in trouble.
Well, yeah, if you're getting abducted and you see some kind of like, meat packing plant with human parts and there's like carnivorous lizard people, then yeah, that is not the spaceship you want to be on.
It's like guy like let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Like no,
Oof, rough.
don't do it. So that brings us to another story. The alien story of Marine veteran Terrell Copeland that saw him abducted while napping.
Okay, so right off the bat, you got to be a little skeptical when you're like, all right, so I was sleeping. Be like, kind of leaning towards dream, but continue.
So, as a former United States Marine, Terrell Copeland isn't easily dismissed as an unreliable observer,
Fair enough.
and so his alien stories are perhaps harder to shake. Copeland claimed that his first experience with aliens occurred in 2007 when he captured footage of what he believed to be a UFO on his cell phone from his apartment in Suffolk, Virginia. It was an orb of light, he said. Just a big ball of light. It wasn't moving. One was solid white, and the other was directly across the street from it, up 300 feet above the ground, and was changing colors very rapidly. Copeland recalled feeling as though something was wrong, and that he wasn't supposed to be witnessing the unnerving aerial appearance. But he alleged that it wasn't until after he published the footage online that things truly became strange. I woke up from a nap by the sound of someone trying to enter my apartment, he said. And I said, "Who is it?" There was no answer. And you could see the knob moving and like a scratching at the door.
Okay, well, that just sounds horrifying.
And I keep my firearm. It was on the table. And my thought was to get up and check. Despite the urge to get up, Copeland was paralyzed and only able to move his eyes. Suddenly, he purportedly heard a voice through the door tell him, "You don't need that weapon. We won't harm."
Oh, Jesus.
The incident certainly resembled the natural phenomenon known as sleep paralysis, which is experienced by many, but Copeland soon began to experience missing hours as well. He was incapable of accounting for 4 waking hours during a span of 2 nights. When you see these objects, and then you do the research, and you see that there are so many people who have experienced the same thing as you, he said, you have to say to yourself, maybe there is something to this. Copeland claimed that as soon as he started to keep a log of notes and sketches of his memory of what had happened during the episodes of Missing Time began to resurface. I was in a room and I saw a woman who did not have complete human features. He said she had the typical black eyes that you hear about. She had an elongated skull, and that startled me. And the next memory I have is me standing on my balcony waving at this cylinder-shaped ship.
Okay, well, it doesn't seem like you had a bad time if you're waving goodbye.
Right?
Yeah. All right, nice seeing you guys. And then you're like, I mean, that would be comforting to me. Be
Fly
like, I
safe.
wouldn't be waving at someone who just hurt me. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's like
Copeland's,
he wasn't like, I was flicking him off and mooning him. I'm
That
just
would-
saying,
they left you pantsless.
it's like a Kate McKinnon SNL sketch.
like
Well, went differently for me.
he walks on with like a with a big wang drawn on his face, just
Yeah.
like high school.
Jerks.
Copeland's alien stories, which were eventually chronicled on the History Channel, remain both startling and unproven, as all abduction tales do. In the end, however, Copeland said that his experience was for the best and has left him with a desire to be a better person. I feel if someone from above took notice of me, then maybe I'm doing something right. And if I'm doing something right, maybe I can do it better. That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah. Glass half full kind of guy.
Yeah, you know?
Maybe that's why he was waving. Maybe it was terrible, but he's just like, well, I don't want to be impolite. See ya.
Or maybe he was a jerk and like the aliens like were like subconsciously like putting that in him, like, stop being a dick. And then he like comes back and he's like, and like from this moment on, we will abduct you if you are a dick.
Oh, that's stupid.
Earthling Entertainment special report. According to Variety, Taylor Swift is now the richest female musician of all time. Swifties! Anne Hathaway is returning for The Princess Diaries 3. Whoa. The trilogy we've all been waiting for. Yeah, my God. That 90s show, the sequel series to that 70s show, has been canceled at Netflix after only 2 seasons. Nobody watched it but me. But I will avenge you, show. Earthling Entertainment special report.
And with that, guys, we are in our entertainment section.
Music mumbles.
Ace Frehley's connection to Other Side. This comes to us from RollingStone.com. Founding Kiss guitarist Ace Frehley recounts 2 different occasions when both his wife and daughter were violently pushed down the steps of their home by what he claims to have been a ghost.
Swear to God.
It's totally believable, Ace. It wasn't, it was a ghost. I always had a sense that here was some type of connection with me and the other side, Frehley explained on Celebrity Ghost Story. Not long after Frehley purchased a large family home in Westchester, New York, he noticed things being moved around from place to place. Once he discovered his daughter at the foot of the staircase, Frehley attributed whatever presence he'd noticed in the home before must have been an evil spirit. His marriage fell apart, and his daughter moved out. But once he moved back to the property with his new wife, she immediately picked up on the eeriness without ever knowing about the spirit on the staircase. She too claims to have been pushed down those same steps. A psychic told Frehley that his house had previously been...
Okay, I'm sorry, but it does sound like he's just pushing fucking people down the steps and blaming it on a ghost. Like, I was trying not to like imply that, but the more you read, it's just like, you know,
it pushed you down the stairs.
Like, well, his daughter stopped living there. It's like, was it because you threw her down the stairs? That's what it sounds like. Sorry.
Learning things about Ace Frehley.
Okay, go ahead. It's a ghost. Continue.
Okay. A psychic told Frehley that his house had previously been inhabited by an abusive mother who'd murdered her children in the home. So that's a thing.
All right. Let's just do another. Moving on.
Learning stuff about Ace Frehley. Number 2. Adele's Haunted Mansion. Once
I hope that's the one with the Muppets.
Maybe?
They made like 3 Haunted Mansion movies. The one was Eddie Murphy in the early 2000s. Then like 2017, around that time, they did a Haunted Mansion movie with the Muppets. And it was like a Disney Plus original. Then they did the new Haunted Mansion.
It was okay.
I don't think, yeah.
It was okay.
Anyways, I hope Adele's Haunted Mansion is the Muppets. It seems like she would be a special guest on that show.
So.
Ryan's not here. He's like, all right, moving on.
So, once multi-platinum pop star Adele moved into a beautiful new $6 million home in 2012, she began to hear strange noises that gave her the creeps. The singer's lavish 25-acre West Sussex property had previously been a convent, fit with its very own chapel. Apparently, Adele was so spooked by sounds she'd heard that she upped her security to around-the-clock surveillance and tacked on 2 additional groundsmen to protect her from whatever spirits may have been lurking around.
I would just move if I was so worried I was going to hire people to be around me.
Never mind, I'll find a different house.
I'm just saying. I mean, I feel like a lot of people in these haunted house stories, it's like, well, all their money is sunk into this place. Like you can't move. But I feel like that is not the case with Adele. Like I feel like even if you're gonna, even if you're just gonna get an Airbnb for a month, you can afford it.
Right. And like, you got like she was about to have a residency in Vegas and she literally turned it down and it would have been like millions, just so much money. And she was just like, meh.
That is a choice.
That is a choice.
So, we have some breaking entertainment news that happened while we're recording the show right now. So even though it's not the time, I'm going to interrupt and say that Amber, excuse me, I want to get this right. Her name is Amber Midthunder, the nice woman who played in Prey, the new Predator movie where she was the Native American. That's why she has such a cool name. Amber Midthunder. Anyway, she was just cast in Monarch Season 2. And for those of you who don't know, that is the Apple Plus show that takes place in the Godzilla universe. Yeah, Kurt Russell's in it. It's a lot of fun. But anyways, yeah, Amber Midthunder. My apologies. Cast in Monarch Season 2. Pretty dope.
Sweet.
Yeah. I really liked her in that Prey movie.
I don't think I saw it yet.
You haven't? Oh, man, I'll lend it to you. Or you can just watch it on Hulu. It's not it's a streaming movie. But I'm it's funny. I have a physical media version of it. Like I actually bought the 4K Steelbook, and it's so more rare to have that than it is to watch a Hulu original movie. I was going to lend you the physical copy for a Hulu original movie.
You were.
All right. I hate the future, Ryan.
Poor show.
Number 3. By the way, music bubbles. Back to music bubbles.
Marilyn Manson summons Underworld. No one should be surprised to hear that a musician like Marilyn Manson once summoned the underworld. Simply a Christian school kid at the time, Manson recalls being pressured by his peers into reading incantations in a dark and supposedly haunted cellar. The controversial rocker, known for his Satan-worshipping ways, then claimed in an episode of Celebrity Ghost Stories that he recited lines of text by the glow of a Bic lighter. He heard demonic whispers asking him if he believed in Satan.
I mean, this absolutely could have happened, but at the same time, it kind of fits so well with, I'm Marilyn Manson, I summoned the devil. I'd be like, yeah, all right. Yeah, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. It seems like it's very on brand for you, sir. So, I believe he did it. I just,
I believe that said event happened, but did he hear whispers?
Well, to be fair, you don't have to be doing anything of Satan to hear whispers.
That's true. That's true.
You could just be insane. Perhaps it's drugs. Maybe the kids were fucking with him. Or maybe it was Satan.
It could have been Satan.
Maybe Satan was just like, hey, do you believe in me?
It's like, I do believe in you, Satan. Good for you, man.
Yes!
Support Satan.
Guys, I got another one!
Like, yeah. Team Satan. So, let's talk about
Tiffany. And now, if you guys know who Tiffany is?
Tiffany battles a demon.
Yes, Tiffany was that 80s pop star who did the mall tour. You know, I think we're alone now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, do you remember in Ted how the creepy villain always would dance to that song?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's Tiffany.
So before Tiffany became an 80s mall pop sensation, the young singer struggled with lasting family demons that led her to explore the dark arts. In fact, she found an outlet for her home life frustrations through dabbling in black magic. Tiffany and her girlfriends acquired a copy of the Satanic Verses and began to practice innocuous spells. And once her father told her she was not allowed to go to a party, she reached for the book. But shortly after, the demonic figure of a man with no eyes attempted to hold her down. She claims to have warded him off by the power of prayer and apologizing to God for her ever involving herself with demons.
See, I was on board, but then it just felt like you made up this story to promote God.
Yeah.
At the end, it feels like, I don't know.
Little bit.
I don't know. Is it weird that that's what, like, because it's not like I have an issue with religion. Any religion you want to be, great, wonderful. If you get something out of it, that is fantastic. Not for me, but that's totally fine. But yet it felt right there that it was like, I don't know, like, and here's my pitch to join the church of whatever, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I don't know anything about the singer. I don't know. So maybe that's the case. Maybe it's not. But it is kind of a dope story. I will give her that. Like fighting a demon without any eyes as like, it feels like such a fun 80s movie. Like she was a pop star. Like she was the, I don't want to, Ariana Grande, Britney Spears, whatever, she was the pop star. So that seems like an 80s movie, like a Gem and the Holograms type thing where she's fighting eyeless demons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would totally see Tiffany fights the demons. Never mind, I take it back. I don't even care if she's trying to push a Christian agenda now. If she wants to make that show, I am on board. We can go over the top with like physical, prosthetics, like actual in-camera stuff,
Yeah.
crazy. Like Todd in the Book of Pure Evil, the greatest show that Canada's ever made.
Yeah, that's right.
Fantastic. I keep trying to lure you into part of this conversation, but you're just staring at me and giving me nothing. So I guess we're done. Tiffany fought a demon. Moving on.
Well, Tiffany evidently fought a demon.
Remember that guy? Remember that gal? Well, now they're dead.
Doc Harris, Dragon Ball Z's legendary English narrator, has died at the age of 76. As reported by Broadcast Dialogue, Harris died on Saturday after undergoing a minor surgery last month. He's best known for his work on Dragon Ball Z, where he appeared in more than 200 episodes. Among fans, he was known for his distinctive voice, telling viewers at the end of episodes, "We'll see you the next time on Dragon Ball Z."
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
One fan on Reddit paid tribute to Harris by saying his voice was the only thing that could make the phrase "sending someone to another dimension" instead of killing them sound actually epic.
Sending Goku to another dimension.
Harris was born Gilbert Auchinleck, but eventually took on the name Doc Harris.
For business reasons, I see Doc Harris working out better.
And that was during his career as a Vancouver disc jockey in the 1960s and 70s.
Makes even more sense.
He went on to have a prolific career as a voice actor, appearing in numerous cartoons and video games as well as a single episode of The X-Files. Aside from Dragon Ball Z, Harris also narrated Captain N, the Game Master, which is well remembered by gaming enthusiasts of a certain age, and My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic.
Which, by the way, that is a terrible movie, but my child likes it. I hate Netflix for introducing that into my life.
Harris was ultimately replaced by Kyle Hebert, who took on the narrator role as well as the voice of Gohan, among others.
So, Ryan, this was your show, the 90s version. I know when they made a new one, they like redubbed it, but it's the same show. But when you were in the 90s, when you watched it, it was this guy who was the narrator.
That's right. I remember watching Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z all the way back in middle school. I remember coming home and I remember being pissed because like they switched up the times, and like I used to be able to watch it before school, but then I had to videotape it every day. So I would tape it on VHS every day.
That is the oldest statement I've ever heard. I love it.
Hell yeah.
So Ryan, above his bed, because, we were friends since we were 6th grade, when I come over, I would always look because he had all these, I assume everyone that was out in the United States, Dragon Ball figures.
Yep.
And they stood like perfectly in a row, very stoked. Say what you want about those figures. They stood very well. And so we had all the Super Saiyans in every collection on this long shelf above his bed.
I was obsessed. Yeah, I loved that shit. I really did love that shit. And I do want to watch the new one, Dragon Ball Super, I believe it's called.
Is it? Wait, so my understanding is Dragon Ball Super is a sequel series to Dragon Ball Z, ignoring Dragon Ball GT, which was
GT
the original sequel series?
Yeah, GT, I believe, is completely being ignored, yeah.
Well, I think I could be wrong, but what I remember is GT was created by not the same people, and then that's why we're ignoring it.
I honestly
You have
don't.
no idea.
I don't
Yeah.
know about that.
Okay,
I
well,
didn't.
it's
Yeah,
shenanigans. It takes a certain kind of fan to like log all this stuff.
it's a lot. It is a lot, and I know there was a lot of it, and it was just weird. It was like there was like the Black Dragon Balls, I believe, and they were like not dispersed on a planet, but like throughout the universe.
Well, to be fair, that feels like they were trying to up the ante. But yeah, anyways, this gentleman, this Doc Harris, he will be missed. I did like obviously I was trying to mimic his voice. I do remember it perfectly. I can't do it
I
perfectly,
was
but I
gonna say
remember it perfectly.
I'll never forget it. Never forget it, man. Hell yeah, rest in peace, dude.
Earthling Entertainment headlines.
All right, number one on the headlines is we finally have a release date for Glenn Powell's Running Man remake.
Based on a Stephen King short story.
This comes to us from Collider.com. After starring in one of the biggest box office hits of the year in Twisters, and also a Netflix original, which was extremely well received in Hitman, Glenn Powell's next project just got a major release update. According to Variety, Paramount officially announced that Powell's Running Man remake will release on November 21st, 2025, just over 13 months from today.
That's incredible. Like they must have done a lot of pre-production. They probably have all their, all their previs done and a bunch of costumes and everything else because to do it at all in a year. I mean, I guess the Running Man doesn't necessarily need that much CGI, but I don't know. Do you know anything about the Running Man?
I honestly don't know anything about. I've heard of it.
It's like the Hunger Games before the Hunger Games. Like I believe it's criminals, but anyways, they have to run as they're being hunted like through a city.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it's one of the death games. You know what I mean? A lot of fun though. Continue.
I like that. So, yes, the film is a remake of the 1987 dystopian sci-fi flick of the same name, which stars Arnold Schwarzenegger. The original Running Man follows a falsely convicted police officer whose shot at freedom comes when he must participate in a game against convicts, runners, and killers for his shot at freedom.
Yeah, because obviously if you escape, you're free, obviously.
So the Running Man currently sits at a 67% score from critics and a 61% rating from general audiences on the aggregate site Rotten Tomatoes. The script for Glenn Powell's Running Man was penned by Michael Bacall and Edgar Wright and is based on the novel by Stephen King.
Woo!
Bacall is best known for his work as a scribe on the 21 Jump Street films, and he also wrote Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the 2010 cult classic starring Michael Cera and Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Since then they made an animated series that I
Yeah.
guess is I guess it's closer to the original comic, but I did love the movie. I don't know if I'd want to see another version.
That makes sense. Yeah, honestly, I watched the movie and I thought it was great. I don't think I've ever even given it a rewatch. So Wright will also direct the Running Man remake, which will be his first film since 2021's Last Night in Soho, the supernatural horror flick starring Anya Taylor-Joy and Matt Smith. Wright is also known for his work on Shaun of the Dead, the zombie parody film starring Simon Pegg.
Yes, and The World's End and Hot Fuzz. In another universe, he actually got to do his Ant-Man movie. But yeah, Edgar Wright, I love him, and I can't wait to see a Running Man movie because I love Stephen King. It is weird to me to think that why Edgar Wright would want to do it. He's just I don't know, a stylized. I don't know. It just seems like a weird project for him. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a Stephen King.
Well, it's a short story, and in Stephen King world, that means it's a full book. In everyone else's world, you know what I mean? I think it's like 300 pages.
Yeah, that's not short.
Number 2, and this is the best headline of the show, not of the day, of the show. Since we started doing Earthling Entertainment, there's never been better news. Continue, Ryan.
This is called Joe's Obsession with Lost. New Lost documentary explores the show's legacy 20 years later.
Woo!
This comes to us from Nerdist.com. 20 years ago, Oceanic Flight 815 crashed on a strange, uncharted island and created a television sensation that rocked television.
It was sensational.
Perhaps the last sci-fi mystery box network TV show, ABC's Lost, truly captured the national attention on a massive scale. It eventually became a huge influence on most future sci-fi fantasy genre streaming shows. So, yeah, I guess it. So this was the one that started it. Would you say?
Well, I don't think I don't think it started it, but it definitely was a very big cultural show, and I do think the certain aspects of the show have been mimicked frequently, like having each episode be a character's story and having it be told through flashbacks and what's happening in current events. That has been mimicked a lot, and that came directly from Lost. So I agree, very influential, wonderful show.
And this helped launch executive producer J.J. Abrams
Woo!
and showrunner Damon Lindelof.
Half the time it's Lindelof. He's all right.
Lindelof.
I like everything he does, and then I hate everything he does at the same time because he makes weird choices. They had a really good script for Prometheus, and then when he wrote his version, we got the one that's like not nearly as close to Alien as it was supposed to be.
Yeah, I'll agree with that one there. But that got them A-list status in Hollywood. And now, nearly 15 years after the series finale, a new documentary explores the series' heavy pop culture influence. The film's director, Taylor Morden, gathered several Lost alumni to participate in this expansive documentary. Among them are Evangeline Lilly, Daniel Day Kim, Nestor Carbonell, Josh Holloway, Terry O'Quinn, George Garcia, Michael Emerson, Damon Lindelof,
Carlton Case.
Yeah, Carlton Case. No, I'm just laughing at because I hate names. Carlton Kuss or whatever. Case. Jack Bender. Hey,
Go on.
Javier.
Javier, come on.
Javier Grillo Marcook. Michael Giacchino, and many more. I wish they would have said that earlier. In a statement to comicbook.com, here's what Morden had to say about the upcoming Lost documentary film. After almost 3 years of work on this project, I couldn't be more excited to get this movie out to the Lost fans all over the world, and to Joe.
And to me.
It has truly been a labor of love, and I can't wait for people to finally see it. Having our independent documentary play in movie theaters around the world is such a huge deal. The theatrical experience is my favorite part about movies, and the fact that people can get together with other Lost fans and go see this in theaters is unbelievably gratifying for me. It's been an incredible journey to get here, both as a filmmaker and as a Lost fan. If you had told me when I was in college watching my favorite TV show that 20 years later I'd get to make a movie about that show and J.J. Abrams, Evangeline Lilly, George Garcia, Josh Holloway, and Terry O'Quinn would be in it, I would have called you a crazy person, but here we are.
You know what? I was going to do this next year. The guy beat me by that much, Ryan.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yours would have been better, Joe.
Well, we'll never know now.
Just do it. Just release it at the same time. Like, how about this one?
Yeah, it'll be like Deep Impact and Armageddon. Like, snakes on a plane. Psh, I'm going to make snakes on a train.
Yeah, that's what we do.
That's hopefully not what we do.
That's Hollywood, baby. So this film is definitely a must-watch for any die-hard Losties out there. Getting Lost is playing in theaters across North America this fall, as well as in the UK. They're also announcing showings soon in New York City, Eugene, Oregon, and Orange County, California.
Yes. And Ryan, we are going to go and we're going to do a whole bonus episode just talking about Lost.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, I honestly, it would you wouldn't do that.
It would be another episode of me just sitting here going, uh-huh.
Well, that's why I would drag you along. That's why you have to see the documentary.
Right. I feel like it would be
Lost
on me.
Oh, yeah. All right, we got there. Number 3.
Alien Isolation, the video game sequel confirmed. This comes to us from IGN.com. In a statement marking the survival horror classic's 10th birthday, creative director Al Hope said the development team would share more details when we're ready. Hope returns to lead development on the Alien Isolation sequel, having done so on in the first game. In his statement published to Twitter, Hope said on the 10th anniversary, "It seems only fitting to let you know that we have heard your distress calls loud and clear. Today I'm delighted to confirm on behalf of the team that a sequel to Alien Isolation is in early development. We look forward to sharing more details with you when we're ready." Creative Assembly didn't confirm a final title for the game, a release window, or target launch platforms. Given the sequel is in early development, it will probably be some time before we find out what to expect or get our first look. For now, though, there's genuine excitement from Alien Isolation fans.
It's true. I am a huge fan of the Alien franchise. They actually made a novel of this book, and they made a book of this game, and they put it in the official timeline. It stars Eleanor Ripley's daughter, the character's daughter, and it's a lot of fun. And if they make a sequel, I want to know if they're going to also incorporate it into the official timeline, or if it's just going to be like, oh, this, it's expanded universe. Don't worry about it. I'm just a fan of everything, actually. If you're going to write or create something that is in a universe, I just feel like you owe it to that property to not screw up, what happens in the timeline. And I'm easy. If you need to make something then that doesn't connect, then you say, well, this is an alternate reality, or this is a different universe. Whatever. I don't know. I'm thinking way too much into it. But the first game was fun, and I enjoyed it.
I never played it.
Do you play any Alien game?
No, I didn't.
Even an arcade game? None of that? Remember the ones when we were kids at Chuck E. Cheese where you're shooting the aliens? It's
I don't think so.
No. It's like a House of the Dead type
I was going to
thing.
say, I played House of the Dead.
All right. There's nothing to add. That seems like a very familiar thing this episode.
I know. I think a lot of the topics today are stuff that I don't nerd on, so you've got a lot to say. So I'm listening, Joe. I'm here for you. I am definitely.
Well, Ryan, don't worry. I did not forget about you because I made sure that our fourth headline was all about your favorite fandom, your diehard, your ride or die cartoon. Here we go.
Rugrats is getting a
Ryan
live...
loves Rugrats. Let me tell you,
To
there's
be fair,
there's
who
Rugrats
doesn't?
sheets. I seen Rugrats throw pillows.
Hey, you know what? Who doesn't love Rugrats? That show is great. It was the most irresponsible parents on the planet Earth.
I swear to God, I used to tell people Ryan's got rats, and they never got it. Maybe that's why he didn't have a lot of friends.
I know. One of many reasons. Well, anyways, Rugrats is getting a live-action movie. Why? This comes to us from Collider.com. In what sounds like an absolute fever dream, Deadline revealed that yet another childhood classic will be resurrected in a way that we never asked for nor needed.
Nope.
News broke today that Rugrats, the generation-defining animated cartoon from our youth, will be butchered and turned into a live-action CGI hybrid feature-length production. While we can only imagine seeing this version of Tommy Pickles and company as our sleep paralysis demons, director Jason Moore from Shotgun Wedding hopefully has a better vision than we do as the project's helmer. Saturday Night Live star Mickey Day co-penned the movie's
Mikey
script.
Day.
Thank you, Mikey Day. Co-penned the movie's script alongside SNL writer Streeter Seidel.
All right, so I want to say Mikey Day, I'm a huge fan of, and it might be a really funny script, but the whole idea of a human and CGI babies is really, really, I think that's where the problem's going to be. Because if you make these babies look like human babies, but they're CGI so they can do things that normal babies can't, then you're going to get the fans or other people being like, well, that doesn't look like the characters. That doesn't look like Tommy Pickles. But then if you make a CGI character that looks like the cartoon, they're going to look monstrous compared to human people. So I don't see how you make this work at all.
I am uncertain as well. Yeah, like the thought of like them doing like the it just feels weird. And
Because
like
they're humans, they're not
yeah,
creatures. Like you could have Sonic the Hedgehog or any other, or Yogi Bear, because they're not humans. But if you have a human creature talking to a human who is CGI, there's just, you're gonna tell. I don't know. People complain about when they deep fake faces, when they make Indiana Jones look young, or they bring back Tarkin in Rogue One. They're like, oh, it looks so fake. But we're gonna CGI a whole freaking baby and think people aren't gonna be rubbed the wrong way. You got freaked out when there was cats, when you made humans into cats. You make a CGI baby, that's gonna be, oh, it's scary.
like imagine like let's say they tried to do Family Guy live action the same way. What would Stewie be? So Stewie, like you'd have this big old football head looking.
I guess, right? Well, that would be a huge problem, right? Because the character doesn't have human shaped features. But neither does Tommy. Look at Tommy Pickles. His
Yeah,
head
yeah.
is all got it's got dents and stuff. If you have a human like that, you'd be like, "Oh my god, is he okay? Does he think okay? Does he need a helmet?"
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. It's like almost like the Pokemon, like Detective Pikachu movie, right? Like, so it's just like it's gonna be like a bunch of people with a bunch of CGI baby things.
Yeah, but once again, they weren't human. So I bought Pokemon, but babies. Ooh.
So right now, plot details are under wraps for what adventures the hybrid babies will find themselves on in the upcoming film. But we'd expect that the creative team will lean into the nostalgia factor for the demo they're likely targeting. Speaking of that demo, so many of us are now closer in age to the adults on the series. We actually are,
Yeah.
with because they were in their 30s, with back pains and the existential dread of life creeping in. The movie will definitely hit definitely for the folks, differently for the folks who grew up watching the Brave Babies on Nickelodeon. Some might even bring babies of their own. The classic series even debuted on Nickelodeon. So sorry. The classic series first debuted on Nickelodeon in 1991 and became an immediate sensation, created by Arlene Klasky, Gabor Supo, and Paul Germain. The animated show followed a crew of toddling best pals, some of whom were related: Tommy, Chucky, Phil, Lil, and Angelica, on their daily adventures. Though they were able to communicate with one another in English, they couldn't do so with their parents. Sort of in the same vein as the Peanuts.
Although the Peanuts did it great because in the Rugrats you could understand the parents as the audience, the babies can't, right? But in the Peanuts, they never even show the faces. There's always the feet. And it was wah wah wah
Yep.
wah wah wah.
Yep,
That's a good choice.
it was a good choice. Reminds me of what was Tom and Jerry. Like you only saw the feet.
Yeah, because from the perspective of those animals, that's all the world is. I mean,
Indeed.
you could have done that with the babies. No, you pick up babies. Never mind.
So from from outside their playpen, which Tommy would unlock with a screwdriver, the babies learned about the world around them and always managed to make it back in time before their parents realized they were missing.
I can't leave my kid alone for like 2 minutes.
It tracks. It
Yeah.
tracks. It was some pretty poor parenting for a multitude of reasons, but how didn't Tommy's parents notice that he had a screwdriver in his diaper? I mean, I get it. I'm tired too, but that's next level.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to happen.
I mean, I've said everything I need to say, really. I just don't know how you make it work. I think you'd be better off filming actual babies and doing what they did with the 90s movies, Look Who's Talking, and just get like a narrator over it. Like, you don't even need to CGI their mouths moving. Just narrate like the inner monologue of the baby. I think that would be the best way if you wanted to do a live action Rugrats. But why? Why? Just do a cartoon if you want to do Rugrats.
That's where my head goes to. Like, if you want to go crazy, do it all. 3D, whatever. But other than that,
Well,
yeah,
they
I
have
don't
a
know.
Paramount Plus show, and that is the new Rugrats. It is all 3D animated now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so why don't they just make a movie of that? I don't
don't
know.
know.
Mikey Day from SNL, like he's a funny guy. So part of me thinks that we just don't know what this is yet. And it might be some kind of either Roger Rabbit or even some weirder situation. They come out of the TV or something, and it's like a meta film. I don't know.
And they're going to comment on the bad parenting. Like they're going to make a joke about that because it was never mentioned, obviously, in the children's show.
I mean, yeah, maybe it'll be like the Brady Bunch movie from the 90s where they completely just ripped the show apart and were like, this family's actually really fucking weird.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think they could probably go that route with it, where it's just very, very honest. and Dr. Lipschitz. They had a character named Dr. Lipschitz.
Yes, they did.
Just saying, they got away with some weird shit.
All right, moving on.
Ewan McGregor says Disney is exploring ideas for Obi-Wan Kenobi Season 2. This comes to us from IGN.com. Star Wars prequel trilogy star Ewan McGregor has renewed hopes for Season 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, saying Disney and Lucasfilm are currently exploring ideas. McGregor was interviewed on stage at LA Comic-Con, where he said one Star Wars project he wants to work on is the second season of Obi-Wan Kenobi. McGregor then stopped himself from saying, "We're definitely hoping to make more of the show," to instead say exploring. That would be the word to say. So he's just trying to tread lightly.
Yeah, well, I mean, just because someone basically says, okay, hire a screenwriter, see if you can come up with something, that doesn't mean the show's going to come out, but they're trying to come up with a good idea right now to see if, let's throw something against the wall and see what sticks. And that's very normal in the process. So it's no way saying there's going to be another season, but yeah, there could be. Whereas before, there was not a chance. Now you can say there's a chance. They find a good story. They find cool. It could happen. But will it? We don't know yet.
What if we get him versus Maul?
Darth Maul? Well, he already kills Maul is the problem.
But I mean, and he comes back, him and Kenobi have a fight on Tatooine.
Yeah, but they already do that. That's what I'm saying. Like, Maul dies in Star Wars Rebels, and Obi-Wan Kenobi kills him, and it's already done.
Oh, it's already done.
It's already in the timeline. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oops, my bad. I thought we would have had time.
Well, no, it's not that it's just why have an encounter where we know that Obi-Wan Kenobi is not going to die and we know Maul's not going to die,
right? Because
later down the timeline, they have this same encounter. It's redundant. It's a hat on a hat, Ryan.
Star Wars.
Actually, you know what I was thinking is I really hope they don't do it, but can you imagine a situation where they pluck Obi-Wan Kenobi out of the past, bring him to a Mandalorian type timeline, and then put him back by the end of the series so everything can go smoothly? I feel like we're that close to Disney trying some shit like that. And I want to be clear. I'm not a Disney Star Wars hater at all. I like a lot of Star Wars, and I like a lot of Disney Star Wars. Some things didn't work, but most things I'm fine with. But I really feel like this is the kind of like sleazy thing that they would try to shoehorn in to be like, look, we want more Ewan McGregor. Well, he hung out with Ahsoka for a while. Don't worry about when.
Don't forget your dagger map.
Yeah.
The dagger. It shows the way to go for the Pathfinder. The dagger.
Tracks.
Like they just got like a bunch. It's like you're going someplace, like it's like, oh, I need a brochure for a map, and it's just a bunch of daggers. It's just like, what is going on with you guys?
It's a good Rise of Skywalker question.
Like, yeah.
Reference. Well done.
So this is far from a confirmation that season 2 is on the way, but is certainly more hopeful than comments made by McGregor in February when he said there was no talks of more Obi-Wan Kenobi happening at Disney.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of the article pretty much just lays out what we were just saying.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, they hired some guy. They're probably talking about it. Who knows if it'll happen?
Yeah.
Do you want what else would you like to see for more Obi-Wan though?
I guess since you made a good point about, because I was thinking maybe that they could tease Darth Maul or something like that, or do the fight, live action. But since I'm off on timeline there, I guess I would say it would be interesting just to kind of get his new life perspective, because when it started, he was quite negative.
Sure.
I mean, he was a miserable fuck in like the beginning of Obi-Wan. So I would kind of like to see, now that it feels like he's kind of regained his pride in in being a Jedi again, in his position as a protector, and you know what I mean? Like I feel like there's a lot you could do just with that extra added Jedi energy that we really didn't have in Obi-Wan. He was very much like, find a place and bury your saber. Like he was very
It's like,
grumpy.
we're done.
Yeah.
We're done. We're all done. Well, he's still got to be a little grumpy because Ben Kenobi is grumpy in the original Star Wars. But I will say he definitely seems more like a wise old, like, shit happens, Luke. It'll be all right. Don't worry about
That's
it.
what I'm saying. I feel like we can see more of the transition.
More of that development.
Yeah, into that older, played by Alec Guinness, and I think that with that, honestly, a lot of things could happen. You could just do episodes of him helping people, him, maybe shit goes down, kind of do like a Mandalorian almost style show, but with Obi-Wan, and obviously he can convene with Qui-Gon Jinn, in the start, like at the end of the episode, we could kind of like do it that way. I could see them doing like kind of like that, involve Qui-Gon some more.
Sure. I would love to see Qui-Gon come as a Force ghost and kind of lead. So what if Qui-Gon shows up and Qui-Gon's just like, hey, there was this planet I visited in my youth and there's a lot of bad stuff going on right
There you
now.
go.
Would you please go check it out? And then the whole second season can be him checking it out. And like, all right, so we want to expand the universe. We don't want to shrink it. So we're not going to make it Kashyyyk. We're not going to make it Wookiees. We're not going to make it Endor. We're not going to make it Ewoks. But a planet like that where there's this very unique geography and a new alien race that is, cool and fun. And he helps. It's a small scale story. It's just the antics or the political thing that are happening on this particular planet. You know what I mean? So that the reason why you do that is because it never affects the overall world. So he can go off and do that and come back without screwing up the Star Wars timeline. Because his actions wouldn't have affected anything on a galactic level.
And that would make sense.
Yeah, you can't have Obi-Wan fighting Darth Vader again. You can't have this big thing again. But you can have him like in a Die Hard, like saving the day in a situation rather than saving the world.
And I'm sure they will, if they do it, they will probably bring back Hayden for at least one episode where there's like a flashback. You know what I mean? They can always do flashbacks with him and Anakin, him and Darth Vader. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, Ewan McGregor noted that that's what he would love to do is have flashbacks with Hayden. So that would definitely be a part of it.
And that would be fan service because he's so beloved now, and I love that he's finally getting that respect that he deserves because he's the fucking man.
Well, I mean, he's been Darth Vader for a very long time. I mean, that first one came out in 1999, and I know he showed up in 2002 for the second one, but still, that right there is 22 years. You know what I mean? Like, if you're still mad about him being Darth Vader, I hate to tell you, get over it. Your anger is old enough to drink.
Dude, and that, yeah, and that performance he did in Ahsoka, that sequence was so effing cool.
It was really good. I think everything we've seen from him coming back has been awesome.
He does a great job, and so we got to come up with a cute creature because you got to think about merchandising.
Right? So that's the thing is like Ewoks are adorable, and you're going to sell a lot of merchandise, like you say. But you also want a story that we care about. If it's just these little animals, we're not going to give a shit that Obi-Wan's like trying to save the day. So they have to be anthropomorphic, human-size, human-type aliens. Do you know what I mean? For us to care about them, with their families and their plight, if you will.
Yeah, but like also like I feel like you could just have just cute creatures, like just like a little guy like in the background.
Obviously we'll have that. That's Star Wars.
So let's make a sand otter, and it like swims in the sand, but it's all cute like an otter, but it swims in the sand and shit.
I'm down with that. Most things that dig in the ground are not pretty, so I like the idea of like
that it's super adorable.
Yeah, I like the idea of an adorable underground thing. All right, very good. But then I'm going to talk about the species he's actually there to help.
Okay.
I think anthropomorphic. I do think lizard, but not lizard, because lizard everyone always associates with bad, like carnivorous, even though it is still carnivorous, an amphibian. I think if they were like a frog species, that would be kind of interesting.
They kind of did one already with Mando.
Well, you are right there, but the different. Okay, all right, no frog.
I would have to say
rough,
like
you took away my thunder with that. All All right, let's do a bird species. We haven't
Ooh.
really seen anthropomorphic bird species in Star
I like
Wars
the way
enough.
you think.
Yeah.
Because I can't think of a single bird-like species.
All right. You know what? Ewan McGregor needs to hit us up. We're gonna write Obi-Wan season 2, Ryan.
Dude, this is going well. We already got the cute creature. Sand otters, we'll call them.
All right. I still think you come up with the name, but
Yeah.
I still think the ultimate villain needs to be some plight which affects the actual planet and not like on a galactic scale. Like I said, you got to keep it lower. So you could just simply do there was a usurper to the royal family, and we're basically doing a revolution where we're trying to help the ragtag rebels. It's still a rebel story,
Oh yeah.
taking down the instead of a Death Star, the actual like fortress of these aliens. And if they're bird-like,
And maybe it could be like there used to be like a Jedi like outpost there.
well,
And-
there has to be,
And that's
because
why
why else would Qui-Gon go there
Right.
initially?
Right. That's probably been abandoned, obviously, since so since the Jedi haven't been there, keepers of the peace, I bet that's how everything went to shit. So that's why it's kind of like up
Well-
to Obi.
Well, maybe the Jedi got kicked out. Something happened, and the species, this bird species, is like, all right, you Jedi, you're not allowed on this planet anymore. But not just that, they stay on the planet, and that's why you don't see them anywhere else in Star Wars. That's why these guys haven't just been walking around, is because they are like forbidden to leave their own system.
And we have an opportunity to just make up a Jedi. We could just say that there was one Jedi who figured out how to hide and survive in this forest or whatever.
yeah.
He lives underground. And
Make them a
so
little kooky.
You could, yeah.
Yeah.
You could make like a crazy.
I'm gonna
hermit,
call him Scraps.
and he'd be hilarious, right?
Yeah, but
Dude, no, that'd
I'm
be perfect.
no, Scrabs. I'm a Jedi. I learned the Force.
Yeah, and his lightsaber has to be like malfunctioning as fuck. Like he has to like. Oh, there it goes. There it goes.
Ah,
Like it's always like sparking and shit.
Oh yeah, like there'll be that's cool. He'll open up his lightsaber and he'll look at the kyber crystal and there'll be a crack down the middle, and he'll constantly like, I don't know, he'll have to like soothe it somehow, maybe with water or something like that.
Or it's
It'll
like
fix
it's
it.
like multiple crystals at once. So we can make a new color. So we would literally mix
Ah.
like a red one with a blue one. Well, he wouldn't have a red one. So like a blue, a green, a yellow, mix them all together, and then that would be the color of his lightsaber.
Well, the lightsaber would just be white then. Isn't all colors just white?
But it's just those three. What would it make?
All right, I think we've gone a little too far with this.
No,
but
we
the,
have not.
the point is, we could do a really good story here with Star Wars. This is why I'm always giving Star Wars a chance, because that right there is a good story that we just came up with, and that anytime a new Star Wars thing like Skeleton Crew coming out in December,
Yep.
there's always the possibility that this new project is going to be really cool and fun. And I just hate the fact that the most Star Wars fans are they're like, well, this is going to suck before they even watch it. Like, go in trying to like something, and if it ends up being bad, well, all right, it's bad. But I just think you have a better time if you don't just assume every new idea is going to be terrible.
I agree with you there, man. But no, it's exciting news. But as we always say here on the podcast, that anything when it comes to Star Wars and any kind of announcement, don't get too excited. Things get canceled all the time after getting announced.
Yeah, Lucasfilm has a real hard time like actually pinning down what they're gonna do. It's hard to believe anything, because they said they were definitely doing that Rey movie,
Yep.
and I haven't heard anything about that Rey movie for a while, and now it's all about the Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yep, and I've heard so many things about it. I've heard now that it's going to be a trilogy, and
Well-
I'm like, how? Oh, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, whatever. It's just, if all of that's supposed to take place before the trilogy you already made, I don't know.
Well, and here's what scares me. So now you're going to try to stretch an idea between 3 movies that was supposed to just be one. That's going to be bad.
It could be pretty bad, but it also could be great. I don't know. At
don't
least the
know.
Grogu and Mandalorian movie's happening. Like, they're filming it, and Scorny Weaver's been like, yeah, I'm in it. Like,
And we covered that Boba Fett won't be in it. It's so
no,
fucked
we
up.
covered that the guy who plays Boba Fett said he has not gotten a call yet. That could
Is-
still happen.
Would you call the man he is Boba Fett? Like, Book of Boba Fett wasn't his fault that the fans pooed on it. I loved it. I love that fucking series. That was one of my favorites. I used to listen to the theme song to get pumped up like before a workout, like before work and shit. Like, hell yeah. Like,
Hey, and sometimes music scores, even to shows or movies that aren't like the best, still get me pumped. So I get it.
and I'm obsessed with the helmets in Star Wars. So I just got a new one today, Joe. It just arrived.
You got what was it? The one you've been waiting for?
This one is Moff Gideon.
You got Moff Gideon?
I totally got Moff Gideon. It just
When
arrived.
did you buy Moff Gideon?
This is one of those
Do you have
things where
16 now?
I've got so many. So this was one of those things where Hasbro Pulse, who, with the Black Series helmets, they make a great product, but they do this thing where they're like, pre-order it now, and you have to jump on that pre-order because the pre-order will sell out, and you'll miss your chance for like another 6 months. And then they're like, you will get it next year.
So this is something you ordered last year.
But this was earlier this year. I ordered it, and it wasn't supposed to come till January of 2025. But now the fact that it arrived today, so they're getting on top of it. And so I still have the Stranger helmet, which is supposed to be coming by September of 2025.
And that is the Sith villain from the Acolyte series.
I don't think
right?
he was a Sith, but yeah, he was the bad guy.
Sure,
He was
the Dark Force user from the Acolyte.
Correct. Yeah. What I believe to be the beginning of the Knights of Ren. The idea of basically being able to wield your power and be yourself, but not having to adhere to anyone's ideology. I believe. That's my thought on that.
Well, okay. And with that, guys, we are going to wrap up our show. Thank you so much for listening. But I do apologize. Ryan, you didn't have anything else you wanted to add, do you?
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
Yes.
Yes.
That's it. That's all I had.
No worries. All right, guys. So, if you like the show, please download the episode. It is the best way to support us right now. Also, if you would like this really cool sticker with our logo, send us a mailing address with your name to Earthling Entertainment Podcast at gmail.com.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. And your mission, should you choose to accept it, share this podcast with a coworker, with a friend, with a loved one, with another Earthling. Thank you.
Thanks. All right. So from everybody here at Earthling Entertainment, I'll see ya.
Goodbye.
And enjoy this spooky season, this month, all Halloween stuff, culminating in our Halloween Spectacular on the 28th. Enjoy. All right. See ya.
See ya.
Earthling Entertainment special report. According to Variety, Taylor Swift is now the richest female musician in the world. Dang. So all you gold diggers out there, start planning. Yeah. Anne Hathaway is... Is that too much?
Working on it. Here's a plan. Gonna get
It sounds so malicious, right?
up
Like,
in Taylor Land.
All right. Earthling Entertainment special report. According to Variety, Taylor Swift is now the richest female musician in the world.
Holy cow.
Anne Hathaway is returning for The Princess Diaries 3. Whoa. The trilogy we've all been waiting for. That 90... Hold on to your butts.